every year, the good projects we do, we just get the clients to say a few words and, share their experiences and so on. It's part of our, knowledge gathering process also. So when I ask people what they want most about, what they most are looking forward to in ARIT, they keep saying that they want some new knowledge. They want some new idea from some other industry so that they can. So we try to showcase many things, but the thing that people ask the most is we want any new knowledge input or anything that we can learn that others have done. It's something people keep asking for. So that is the reason it always helps to hear from the horse's mouth from people on the other side like yourself who are running the businesses and who have practical challenges, and how you see the lean science and continuous improvement as relevant to your business. So let me let me start shooting the questions if that helps. So the first one, which I thought may be relevant to seek your views, is what prompted you to consider the lean management for your business. I remember we had this conversation, I think about a little more than a year or that time frame where we met over coffee. And you had this thought of infusing the concept of lean management for OMIFCO. So if you could throw some light on what triggered your thought process and how this shaped up in the organization.
I mean, lean is not new to me. I mean, I've been working with lean projects and leans for quite a number of years now, and I've seen what it does in organization in terms of increasing efficiency, reducing operational cost, and at the same time, your internal processes are cut down by a lot. In some instances, by even 50% or 60% in terms of the time frame, and that by itself is a cost. I've seen it done in big organization, and what prompted me to bring it to OMIFCO is because of the success I have seen, and as well as what I have read from other experience around the world. And we in OMIFCO here, lean concept itself is completely new. I would say very, very new to a lot of people. So implementing it and bringing it on board by itself is a big challenge, and that by itself is also a stage that you accomplish. So what really prompted me is that the efficiency we wanted to increase, we want to reduce unnecessary overtime cost due to, I would say, unnecessary absenteeism, and the leave management. At the same time, the internal processes within the administration department and some of the other departments like procurement, where time is a big factor in there. So lean has a huge advantage in shortening that time frame in these sort of processes. Yeah, I would say these are the things that prompt me to think of lean and bring it forward to OMIFCO.
Wonderful. I think that sets the stage for us to segue to the next question, which I thought may be relevant to ask you. That how did you select the focus areas for improvement in your business?
Yeah, I mean, the way we looked at it is that with what we want to accomplish out of lean, what we want to do. I mean, even before lean comes into the discussion table, what we want to do. I personally highlighted we want to reduce overtime or unnecessary overtime. We want to reduce the time frame for purchase orders. We want to reduce the time frame of ordering or processing, for example, a vehicle transport. Some of the recruitment process, increase that time, reduce that time process will help us to get things done much faster and be there, and also spend more time in more valuable areas. So when we highlighted these areas, there's no better way than actually using lean methodology to understand where is the problem, what is the problem, and how we can shorten it.
Wonderful. And I think it's exciting coming from you, who's the director of human resources and admin, which is so you can probably sense best the cultural aspects of negotiating the change in the organization, which I think is very fitting for the role that you're playing. So my next question is, how did you manage the cultural change? Because usually when you introduce concepts of lean, people either enthusiastically embrace it, but there will also be some skeptics who will tend to resist actively or passively. So how did you negotiate the cultural change in the organization?
Well, see, the way I looked at it is that first of all, we need to convince my management and my board, directors of board for implementing lean. That was not too difficult. Of course, the more people are aware of lean concept, and as well as the top management. So the introduction and the idea of bringing lean forward is I would say, was a bit easy on the top level. However, we find it extremely difficult, and still, I have to say, I have failed in some areas in terms of bringing change on the department. But if we win one part, that by itself is an achievement, and slowly, we move to other department. So bringing the change about lean to a culture where it's not about lean, it's not about efficiency, it's about getting the job done. That's it. So was really difficult, especially on the technical side. And we are still finding it even now, almost 6 months, almost a year since we started the process of lean. We are not, I would say, successful to the level of my expectation in some areas, but we are still trying to push it. Of course, the COVID pandemic has played a big role on delaying some of the things because it decreased the number of manpower, which means we have to increase the OT time drastically within the operation. That by itself kind of I would say, went against our recommendation from lean. But so it's a complete special period of time. It's pandemic, so it's understandable. Still trying to explain to people that lean is not just about cost cutting. It's about how to say, well, it's about cost cutting as well as the cost in terms of work, reducing the unnecessary time. So there's a lot of new ideas we're trying to implement with people here. It's a bit difficult because it's a one-man show, I would say. You know, you have only 1 or 2 people there understand lean. The rest have never seen it. But I would say from the difference between now and a year ago is a big difference. I would say there are managers now who believe lean can help because they felt the change, so they can work as I would say change agent for me. Hopefully, once the pandemic is back to normal and then we are back into normal operation, we want to be pushing more of lean concept into other areas also, especially the operation area.
Brilliant. My next question, Mohammed, is what did you feel went well about the program? And as a follow-up to that, what would you do differently, learning from the hindsight? Hindsight is always 2020, right? What went well, and what would you do differently if you were to start from scratch all over again?
Well, what went well actually is that we did feel the change in people's how to say reaction when it comes to lean. That after some period, we did find there are some processes had improved a lot, especially in the procurement side and as well as in the admin side. The concern and about OT and the unnecessary overtime has risen, I would say, 2 steps or 2 notches better than before. The things I would do differently is that basically I probably would focus a lot on the communication part. We kind of did focus on the communication part, and the agent did extremely good job when it comes to the presentation and the communication with the line managers. But from our side, the follow up and the recommunication as well on that part kind of went a little bit low due to the COVID pandemic also. What I would do differently from scratch? Not really. I would think I would do the same thing. I would just increase the communication a bit more. I would bring examples, and in some areas I would have to make direct instruction to just do it. Sometimes you have to force change, and people will understand later once they see the result comes in. I don't have to explain the result in the beginning. In some department you just have to go hard on and do it. Some other department they would accept it and they would do it better. So that's the areas I would do.
Very well said, Mohammed. Communication is probably one of the top 3 reasons why such change programs succeed or fail. More than what happens on the ground, it is the perception you create among the people and keep the excitement and enthusiasm going. So I think that's a very matured observation coming from you. My last question, of course, is how was your experience to work with SSA, and anything that you would like to share with us?
Well, what I would say is, now, if I have a chance to work with SSA again, I would do it without hesitation. I mean, the reason being because it is my second time working with SSA. It's been great. The flow of information, the coordination is completely top notch. The also being patient and trying to understand what the other line managers want and how they want it, and expectation, the way they manage expectation from the line managers is extremely professional, really, really good. And what I would say, it's a well done job from SA team. And if I have the chance to do it again in other department or with another company, I will definitely be my first choice.
That's very kind and generous of you, Mohammed. It was equally our pleasure to team up with you. You are probably one of the passionate change agents, right, from our experience. So, and we find we are, kindred souls in that sense when we have such passionate change agents in the industry who value this work. It makes our work all the more rewarding. So thank you so very much for the kind words. I really appreciate you taking the time this morning for this interview.